Patika me whakatiwhira ngā huatangi mi te karakia, mo e kei mai tau. Ata ki nā te kau nu, te kau rō, te kau titi, te kau iahu mai no tiki o rangi no mara ni tū hahaia. E puna wai o rai, puna mātauranga, ko ia te kau ahuru, e tupura ngā māu, kia whānu, e rea mai te toki o haumi e, ui e.
Actually, just Councillor, if I was standing, I'd just like to observe a minute's silence. We've had a number of fatalities and people passing away this year, people that have contributed to this district in so many ways, and just like to recall them now. We had Mr. Richard Izard, we had Mr. Henny Brunton, we have Janine Ball, Linda Ball, Karis Anderson, and Diane Noon. So we could just observe a minute's in memory of those fine people that have helped to contribute so much around this place. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Item 2, apologies. You have a full complement with Councillor Taylor, I believe, might be an apology for lateness, but he is trying to hook up at Rotorua Airport. Okay, item 3, any conflicts of interest pertaining to the items today? No, that be the case, we'll move forward. 4.1, the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting that was held on the 12th of December 2023. Any matters arising from those minutes or points of clarification? Thank you. Could I have a move for those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. 4.2, extraordinary council meeting that was held on the 19th of December 2023. Any points of clarification on those minutes? Do I have a mover for those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Bristol. Yeah. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. 5.1, key highlights and community feedback over the Christmas New Year period. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Ms. W. O'Brien. Good afternoon.
Kia ora koutou, Mayor and Councillors, staff and any members of the public and those joining online. Ko Liv O'Brien taku ingoa. Great to be here and see you all after a little bit of a break. And fittingly that this item is probably the first one to come to you. So I will take the paper as read. It's really just an update for you all. But I'd like to just be able to just mention a couple of highlights that that you no doubt will have picked up in the paper. But so this year we've used the keyword quiet, which we're very cautious about using. But over the summer period, we're very lucky from a sort of an incident perspective. From the last few years, it was relatively quiet, which was fantastic for our teams. And we're putting this down to a number of factors, but one of them being the preparation that our teams across the organisation have put into being proactive in this space. So working with our communities, working with partners, working with other agencies to prepare for any eventualities over the summer period. So brilliant to see that we're also able to do a lot of proactive communications to get the community on board. The other thing that has helped, we've had some really stunning weather with the convenient timing of a lot of rain over New Year's, which perhaps dampened down some of the issues that we've seen in the past. Another thing I just wanted to highlight is we from the numbers that we're seeing with our pedestrian counters and some of what we've heard from our retailers, we are seeing fewer visitors, foot traffic in Taupō CBD. We do understand that our international visitors are up, so we're seeing a return of some of the backpacker visitors, but also some of the older New Zealanders who are travelling around over the summer period. The other thing that we could put some of that down to is we've seen people flocking to the beach the last couple of years. Weather over summer hasn't been great, and people are probably swimming, sunbathing, as opposed to spending. So that colloquially is one of the reasons that we're probably seeing the visitor numbers down. However, the spend is up, which is great news. Our retailers are giving us mixed feedback though. So they're having really busy days, they're having really quiet days, and they're also having to work harder for the profits because of the economic climate. So as much as people are spending more, the retailers still, it's not 100% rosy out there, which I'm sure some of you may have heard. So we'll again, happy to take any questions. Overall, a really positive summer period. I just wanted to take the opportunity to do a bit of a thank you, a shout out to our staff across the organisation. I'm obviously just presenting this paper on behalf of a lot of parts of our organisation. While some of us are able to take a well-deserved break over the summer and festive season, a lot of our team are still all hands on deck, keeping the lights on, the water running, the grass mowed, and looking after our visitors. So really just a big thank you to them. And I'll pass it back over to you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
To the Chair, Olivia, I'll just make a comment here. You mentioned the Whare Waka speed hump, and whilst it does indeed do it, as you say, address pedestrian safety and reduce speeds. I mean, it certainly does that. But yeah, I mean, my professional opinion as a traffic engineer is that it is not fit for purpose for reasons including safety, but also increased noise and just unnecessary disruption. And I recognise it's put out as a trial, and I just hope this gets addressed sooner rather than later.
Councillor Shepherd.
I actually wanted to commend the team as well, because the summer activation of the Robert Street space was fantastic. I was really upset with the weather cancelling that second one after the concert. That would have been absolutely fantastic. It was well run, and everyone I spoke to enjoyed it thoroughly. The only downside to that being we weren't able to close that road. Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Councillor Greenside.
Thank you, Worship. Libby, I had a few tricky situations over summer with local people, and I'd like to thank the staff involved who got in behind, helped support and solve problems with the and answer questions very timely, and in some cases really stepped up, sort of way and beyond the call of duty, including his Worship, who managed to get a burnt out car moved at 11 o'clock at night. Yes, much appreciated by the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, hopefully the retail might have a bit of activity in February.
Mm.
It's not easy to say, but if you're a good retail, and you just got to do the house.
Absolutely.
It's hard on people. Okay,
cool.
No other question. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge the 18 ambassadors that exceedingly down bringing people to events and giving direct constraint to us. So it's doing a job, volunteering services.
Very well, thank you.
Uniform.
Mm.
And did you buy the happy sack things for the activation?
Council did that, and we were supported by Town Centre Taupō. So again, just to Julie and the team for the support that they've provided down there, and that was just part of the activation, just helping to draw people down into that beautiful space. And it's quite, I'm sure you've seen it every time you drive past when the weather's good. There's someone chucking the cornhole hacky sacks, cornhole, I believe, and using the bean bags, and it's been great. And again, just a partnership opportunity where the retailers all the hospo teams have helped us to pull those in every day to take a bit of pressure off our staff, which has been great. Thank you.
Please say aye. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Libby. 5.2, replacement power of attorney for signing deeds on behalf of council. We have Ms. Karen Holman.
I nearly imagined you saying Turton, which was my maiden name. That was terrible. Kia ora, everyone. Happy New Year, and I hope everybody had a lovely break. This is a really mechanical item. I take the paper as read. It's just updating an existing power of attorney, which is completely out of date. Julie is the only person named there, and even that, her position is incorrect. And this was put in place so then deeds can be signed correctly on behalf of council by Julie or any member of the executive team. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Okay, next up here, 5.3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take the report as read, but just in summary, the purpose of the report is to propose a more streamlined method of dealing with the hire of the boat pens at Nukaho. Currently, we're bringing an agenda item to the Taupō Roads and Reserves Committee every 3 years, asking to approve licence to occupies. We're looking to change to a permit system under another section of the Reserved Act and delegating to the Chief Executive to sign those off. We don't see any of the conditions of hire changing. They'd stay as per the reserve management plan, but what it does give us is a more efficient way of dealing with them. So we don't have a situation like we currently have where we can have a waiting list with a number of people after a pen, but vacancies sitting there waiting for us essentially to bring that report on a 3-year cycle. So yeah, really just looking for some efficiencies with this one. Thank you.
Andrew, you just educate me, please, just a little bit. So yeah, that does sound a bit odd that there's vacancies, but they can't get in there. And so just a question, I'd like, are these lots used for repairs and people sticking up their yacht and repairing it for years and years and just sits there while they're sanding the boat, or are these used coming in and out going all the time?
Through the chair, these are used for coming in and out all the time, essentially, and that's specified within the reserve management plan that they can't just sit there and be stored. It also says they can't be worked on within the pens. That you can only use the area dedicated for that, which has a washdown bay and all the rest of it. The situation with them sitting vacant is basically because of that 3-year that the licenses are for 3 years. Once upon a time they all came about at the same time, so they were all done in one group, but they've got out of sync, and so now we'll have it sitting empty and people waiting to get in there.
So just asking, like if someone's got a pen right now, if in effect if they just keep on renewing, what can get them out of there?
Through the chair, currently it's the license is for 3 years with one renewal of 3 years, and then they have to relinquish it. In a permit system, we could go up to 10 years, but our management plan does specify 6, so we would keep it at that.
Oh, through the chair, sorry, I'm just quite interested. So where if someone wants to hard stand a yacht and work on it for years, sanding it away, this is not this whole area, boat harbour, where do they do it?
Probably on private property, on their own on land. It doesn't. There is a commercial area, not not within reserve land nearby. But yeah, not on the reserve. Big part of that is to preserve water quality and keep pollution out and all those kind of things. And it just isn't really set up to control any of that there.
No, because a lot of marinas do have that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ange, for the information. Obviously, the chair of the Riding Reserve Committee, if I could clear sense, it's around the flexibility of the 3-year most occupied, so makes good sense there. On a basis, and obviously understand why it's coming here first. Has to come here right now from delegation to the CEO by those permits on an annual basis. They separate for years. And each year will go through the annual plan, long-term plan, setting fees and charges as well. So
yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, John. Next order has been moved by Councillor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. 5.3, look at how. No, it was on me. Sorry. Turangi. Here we go. Turangi TV holiday park. Good afternoon, Philip.
Kia ora koutou. Councillors, Your Worship, Happy New Year. Good to see you all again. This is a paper that I'm sure you've read your way through, and it first came to our attention when the leasee went into receivership back in 2021. And it's been in front of council back in 2010 also. But, yes. Oh, kia ora, Lauren. Kia ora.
Committee. So just like welcome, Lauren. Nice to have you here with us. You can hear us.
I can hear. Kia ora, everybody.
Kia ora.
Back to you, Philip.
So the land was compulsorily acquired back in 1964 as part of the Turangi Act. We've previously met with Turangi Tukua, the hapu and mana whenua of the land down in Turangi where this land sits upon. We've also met with the Turangi Governance Committee, also who made a recommendation that is coming your way. There's 3 options there for you to consider, and a preferred option is option 3. And I'm happy to take any discussion.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Philip. Yes, those of us on the Governance Committee have gone through this and discussed it and talked about it at the local level. And we are certainly all agreed that option 3 is the one that is preferred, both by the co-governance and I think actually by pretty much everybody. But I have got a couple of questions that have come up in the course of this investigation on this land. The camping ground will be offered back to the original family, as is right and proper under Public Works Act. Can you tell me, please, if they take up that offer, what will happen to the money that we receive at council?
Well, the money will come to council, and council can decide where that kind of ends up. Can determine which fund it's credited to, basically.
I suppose the question really is would it be something that would benefit the Turangi community? We don't have an answer to that at this point.
That would be for council to decide.
Time frame on this process, because I know that of course this land was taken under Public Works Act and that was a long time ago, back in the 60s, and so it will be the descendants that we will be looking for. Is there a time frame on this process?
It first came to our attention in 2021 and it's taken us this long to get to this point. And from here, it's predicted to be at least 12 to more likely 24 months. The Māori Land Court's involved. There's quite a bit of external support required to allow us to get to the point of the SW40 and the Public Works Act and the offer back process. So I'm imagining it'll take some time, but there's some, if we work with option 3, we're poised to begin the process immediately.
Season in Turangi, and I think it's probably a little bit of care and attention needed there.
Yeah, well, up till now, the responsibility has been with the leasee, so it's been a little bit awkward for TDC to be kind of involved in it, although we have been maintaining it, but out of whichever way we could beg, borrow and steal it. So now we will set up a process to ensure that we kind of maintain the lands. I'd probably have a talk to Andrew Moore if he's still in the room, and see if we could work with Parks to see if we can maintain it and keep it to some sort of a standard.
And I have been approached more than one person in Turangi who has asked me that how could we retain this land for use in Turangi? Could you just explain a little bit further the Public Works Act so that people understand what that process is, please?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could take option 1 or option 2, which was to keep it as a motor camp, which is one of the options that's there, and there's some reasons why that may or may not work. Or also we could use it as a public work ourselves. So we didn't need to identify a use for it other than a campground. So there's numerous other things we could: cemetery, wastewater disposal plant, playground, whatever, road, whatever we chose as a public work. But other than it being a public work, we've got no need to hold on to it. We're obligated to follow the process of heading down the path of the PW.
Housing, so that would be something that would occur in the process of what is about to happen, and not something that council could actually action. That's right, is it?
Well, when you look at the area, it's surrounded by it's begging for housing. It's residential. It's zoned correctly. It's appropriate to be housing. It would be quite a simple process once the use of the land was understood, or the ownership of the land was understood. So, and Kaingaroa have already expressed interest in it. So there's an opportunity certainly for the new owners, whoever they may be, to go down the path of providing some residential housing.
Just 2 questions. Just Public Works Act. So the original owners, they get first dibs, and they get offered current market value, zoned residential, whatever it is. That's how it goes. Is that right?
That's the starting point. That's the negotiations begin at market value. So council's obligated to offer it back at market value.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the original owners could go, oh no, we'll negotiate. So that's the starting point. So you could negotiate lower, or we would be higher, but okay.
So we're not to. So we begin with a evaluation. We're not to offer it back at more than that.
Yes. Okay. And negotiation. And if they don't want to take it up, then it goes to tender or auction or whatever we want.
There's a process that would follow if they weren't keen on taking up the offer, and would be led by the Māori Land Court on how that process might roll out.
You mean we get complicated? Is that what you're saying? If they don't want it, then surely it just means sell it to the developer. Is that not as simple as that?
But potentially, if it turns out that the original owners don't want it, I imagine it comes back to council.
Yeah, and my other question is, unless I missed something, because I perceive, because I've come across something like that Rotorua before, a small portion of reserve council behind the scenes sells off because no one was interested in it. But as soon as, like anything, as soon as it's gone, as soon as something disappears, out of the woodwork come people who, quite resentful that this little piece of preserve has disappeared without them even hearing about it. So my question is, community consultation. I mean, because there's obviously an option for parks, but could be another council facility like a park or something that the community might want. And the question is, what community consultation has been undertaken to ask the people around there what would they like? Because I know because if you live right next to this, and I can just imagine you hear about it later that it's been sold off, and lo and behold, there's going to be housing beside you. We might not be. Some people aren't too happy about that, and they feel they didn't have opportunity to have their say.
Well, there's the district plan that protects what can and can't happen on a piece of land, but if the original owners end up taking on the land, they can kind of do what they like with it within the district plan.
No, but this pertains to the option of retaining it, retaining the land, council retaining the land and repurposing it. So, the community might want to do that.
If I can, through the chair, perhaps just to acknowledge that in the report, Philip's actually outlined, you've basically got two options. You retain the land for the campground or other public work, or you follow the Public Works Act process. On the page in your agenda, page 39, option 2 is actually assessed whether the land is required for another public work. So Philip and his team have had those internal conversations about whether it will be required, and the paper identifies that we've got no need for it from another public work perspective. So I'm just acknowledging that at least some of that is covered.
Oh, no, but through the chair, I'm pointing out that, okay, internally, what we, council staff may have decided, we don't need anything, but, well, I'm just saying the community around there might think differently.
Which is very
Not
by the committee to endorse this recommendation. And it's gone to the public committee of the co-governance committee who come up with this recommendation, but as Councillor alluded to earlier. And where was I?
Yes.
Right, Councillor Truman.
Thank you. So the question that I had was, under the Public Works Act, is pensioner housing would be classed as something that we could do on that land? Is that something under the Public Works Act, and they'll say housing? So all I was wondering was that discussed at Mangakino, and is if a part's going to be subdivided off, could that be subdivided and then the funds from the purchase build the housing? If that's one of our key goals is housing, is that something that was considered?
One of our key goals is housing, but we haven't necessarily got the budget to build a whole heap of houses.
No, but the sale of the rest of the land went to build the housing on the piece of land that was deemed.
That could be an outcome for Kaingaroa.
Or it could be an outcome for the original owners once the land's offered
I
back.
just wondered something that was considered, yeah.
It really is an opportunity for some housing in some form or other.
So you know what's going to happen? They're going to start getting destroyed, and I suppose there will be urgency in here, locating those original homes. What I'm worried about, and who is monitoring it? Is it council's responsibility?
Well, we've got a lot of the buildings have been removed and sold and taken away. We've got some people living on site from time to time. They're accommodating themselves in there. We're going to have to, at some point, have the discussion about how we're going to manage the existing buildings and who's going to remove them and how it's going to be funded. That's a conversation we're going to need to have, yes.
Receipts for any outstanding rent, etc.
The leasee is on our radar because he's in receivership. The value, we got the lease valued at $55,000. At the time that we did that, he owed us about $38,000. We've negotiated with him that we do it with no money changing hands, and our arrears are for rates and water and so on. So at the time that we negotiated, we were nearly 20 grand ahead based on the valuation. So the chance of pursuing so the arrears now are probably about the $55,000 that the lease was valued at.
been answered.
Yes, that's I just want to clarify this following Councillor Westwood's point about time finally make the previous owners of the Public Works Act. Isn't there a limit to time? We provide that.
I think so. Once we've identified the owners, councillor, there'll be a process that needs to be followed, and there'll be a timeline that says, you know, here's the offer.
Given to those previous owners make an offer.
I'm sure there is.
You know,
Correct. Identifying, getting together and presenting the offer.
Clarify. I mean, I know you're saying mana whakahana, I think I'm hearing, is representing residents. Can I clarify? Does that mean the householders with the residents within, say, all the householders within 50 to 100 metres of this area have been directly talked to and consulted? That's answered my question.
I don't think.
No, we haven't. Councillor.
Well,
I'm happy to answer that. I'm happy to answer that. This comes under the Public Works Act. If you have land taken off you as a family under the Public Works Act and it's no longer required, it's happened twice in our family. I'm well aware of the whole process. You are entitled, if the government, and we are the government, no longer needs it, that you're entitled to have it offered back to you. And that's the process. So neighbours don't get asked whether they want it back. And I mean, it's probably out of order me answering it like this, but we discussed this at mana whakahana. We were all in agreement on it. There was nobody at the table, or sure you were your wishes, that had any issue with the process. And we all felt that it was absolutely the correct and proper and legal thing to do. We are bound really by the law.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just in the interest of time, given the technicalities of this report, and that is a recommendation from the Mana Whakahono Committee, I would like to move this agenda item, given that the Mana Whakahono is very well represented by Ngāti Turangi, the community and council.
You're moving the recommendation, number 3 is the option.
Yeah, I'm moving the recommendation as worded.
Number 3. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you. Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Greenslade. The council will adopt the recommendation by the Turangi Co-Governance Committee, number 3. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carry.
I'm saying yes.
Thank you. Abstention, would you like that recorded?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, number 5.5, overview council meeting agenda item 2024. Okay.
Thank you, Worship. We have set out items to come for this calendar year. As far as we know, it's not everything, but it was everything we knew at the start of this year to give you an idea of what's to come. Receipt.
Thank you very much. Any questions of Shani?
I do, Worship. There's a lot of sculpture trustees on being proposed, and there's a lot of council time that we're going to be devoted. We could be in the middle of long-term plans. I'm just wondering if that's the best use of our time to put out there. There's at least 3 that I can see.
I'm not against question, but we do have sculpture trust and decisions in this council. And what is missing in here is you've got a long-term plan. Any decisions that you need to make, you can go up and use 6 months. And be up to you.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to ask whether or not we've got our Waikato Regional Councillor and perhaps our MP coming to speak to us at some time in the next year. We didn't see them at all last year.
Yes, so in terms of council MP, we've been having around year time runs and how we can make sure that we factor them into council meetings, that's something we do. And likewise, with not only Waikato Regional Council, but a range of partners who could bring this place. That's been
Very good. Another question of the chain? Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Fletcher, and by Councillor Rankin. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Thank you very much, councillors. That's the end of the public session. We will now move into conference, moved by Councillor Parks, given by Councillor Westerman. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Right.
Excuse me, I would like to make a little comment about the voice things before we.
Oh, sure.
Yes, I'd just like to ask from Mangakino-Pouakani boys, former Governor General of New Zealand and appeal court judge, but very important to us, a long government that refers our community and a very strong supporter of the Maori charitable club, which very often we have. The family still have the holiday 1 year, but they have been very important to our community using. I would like to pass on the rest council and to the Taupō East Rural.
Yes, I very much appreciate it.